It's Thursday, December 21st, 2023. So you know what that means. We've got Thursday night football, we've got NBA action, we've got college basketball action. And I've got three best bets for you. They're on the way. Let's dive into it. What's up, guys? It's your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make some money. Now listen, I thought I was hot. I thought I was feeling good. Well, I won't say I thought I was hot. I thought we had rebounded. But yesterday we had another down day on the channel. You hate to see it. We went 1-3. 1-3 on the day. We cashed on the Clippers first half spread. Listen, the Clippers have making us money all month long while we've been riding this 9-game win streak, so I'm going to keep riding that thing until the wheels fall off. But we did lose on Miles Bridges points, as I was not expecting him to miss. I mean, dude didn't play barely in the fourth quarter because it was a blowout, but also he just missed a ton of shots. You hate to see that. UConn team total completely went under. I mean, they got completely upset, which I wasn't expecting either. And then Kobe White, I gave him a little sprinkle at the end, like I told you, a little bonus play. And the one game that I take him in the last 10 games, guess what? He decides not to go with his PRA. Hate to see it. 1-3 on the day. You can see our UCLA record right here. But listen, we still got a long month ahead of us with a full loaded slate of games this whole holiday weekend. So stick with me. We're going to keep dropping winners, and then we're going to be able to rebound and bounce back by the end of the month. Right, my friends? So click that like button, subscribe to the channel as we got some more best bets on the way flowing all month for you. And I'm also going to drop a bonus video, an educational video teaching you guys what I do when I'm in a cold streak. So this way you guys can be able to rebound if you're ever in a situation where you just feel like you're losing bets or you're not really hitting bets. Because I've seen some of the DMs and messages that you guys sent me about you all being cold right now, so I exactly know the feeling, especially when tapped into the channel. But at the same time, there are ways that you can handicap, so this way you can keep that bankroll alive, like what I've been doing with the Clippers and Julius Randle. Those two plays alone have kept my bankroll afloat over the last few weeks. I've got a video on the channel dropping this weekend on how to overcome cold streaks, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so this way you guys can grab that video. Now let's dive into these best bets. For my first best bet of the day, I'm going to go to a Thursday night football matchup because football, believe it or not, has actually been pretty good to us this month. It's actually the only sport that I've actually been able to handicap pretty good. Basketball's been up and down, but football's been pretty consistent. And I'm not a big fan of taking very high spreads, but we've got a good matchup tonight in this Rams and Saints game. And even though we have a pretty high total in this one in terms of a player prop, I really like this line that we've got today because we've got two teams with identical records with a lot to play for. And we're in this time of year, guys, where every play, every snap, every game matters. I mean, there's huge playoff implications that are going on right now. And truthfully, tonight's game for both of these 7-7 teams is a playoff matchup. The Rams still have a chance to make the wild card in the playoffs. The Saints, I mean, they're in that terrible division there in the NFC South, but they still have a chance to make the playoffs. So both of these teams have something to play for today. But for me, I think the advantage lies with the Rams. And if the Rams are going to win this game, then they know they got to hand off the ball. They got to go to Kyren Williams, and he's going to get his rushing yards. Even though it's really high at about 89, 90 and a half, I've got it at 91 and a half. I'm taking it. I'm going over it because this guy's been an absolute wagon over the last several weeks. And he's truthfully one of the reasons why the Rams are in the position that they're in terms of making a fight for the playoffs. If you've been following the Rams this year, they started off the year really dismal. We thought, okay, it was over with. Matthew Stafford wasn't looking good. The offense was stagnant. Cooper Kupp was hurt. Puka Nacua was a good, little green spot for them this year. But overall, this team just wasn't the same. But guess what? They bounced back over the last several weeks, and we found themselves in a position where they've won 4 of their last 5 games. And keep in mind, the one game that they lost came in overtime against the Ravens when he returned that punt return for a touchdown. So they really had a chance to win that game and be on a major win streak right now. I mean, one of the reasons why they've been able to turn around the ship this season is because of the run game and Sean McVay really feeding Williams the ball and them really getting this run game established. He's gone over this rushing total, even though it's high, in 4 of the last 5 games. And he's averaging 135 yards rushing over the last 5 games. You love to see that. And then when you look at the Saints defense, this is how you beat them. You beat them on the ground. They have the 9th worst rush defense in the entire league. They're giving up over 126 yards per game. And when you look at other teams that like to run the ball, they've been able to exploit that. Look at Carolina when they played them. 39 rush attempts, 204 yards. Detroit, 30 rushing attempts, 142 yards. Atlanta, 41 rush attempts, 228 yards. So we've seen teams be able to run the ball against this Saints defense, even if they didn't have a really good quarterback. I mean, come on, keep in mind, Panthers, we know Bryce Young ain't going to beat us, but guess what? They still give up 204 yards to him. That's what I love to see. And then when you look at what this Rams offense has been doing, they've been feeding Williams the ball. They've been giving him the touches. He had 27 carries last week for 152 yards. They ran the ball 37 times last week as an entire team. You love to see that. That's something crazy to think about, that a Matthew Stafford-led offense is really running the ball. Like, you love to see that. So for me, I think the advantage today lies with this Rams run offense, and I think they take advantage of it. And when you look at also the Saints pass defense, defense over the last 3 games. They're the second best pass defense in the league, only behind the Jets. So for me, I don't feel like the advantage lies with passing the ball today. I think the Rams are going to be winning this game on the -4 spread. So because of that, I think they're just going to get more touches. No need to throw the ball too much. So let's go with Kyren Williams over 91.5 rushing yards is the first best bet of the day. It's a high number. I know you could parlay it down in like a 2-team steam or whatever. I'm going to lay the rushing yards because he's going to get the volume. He's going to get the touches. His rush attempts are about 19.5, 20. It's a little high for me. I mean, just to predict that a guy's going to get the ball 20 plus times, but I do think he does get that today, and he's always a threat as well to break one long, and I think he can do that today. So let's go Kyren Williams rushing yards is the first best bet. Now for my second best bet of the day, I'm going to go with a little 2-team steam action, a little parlay action. Like I mentioned, I love the Rams in this matchup, okay? I think they're going to beat the Saints. I think they're going to cover the -4 number. I don't really like lying -4s in NFL because of the key number right there, but I think they will win this game. I think they cover the spread. The Saints are just terrible, right? Like, I just don't like them. I just don't think they're a good team. But for me, I'm going to go on the money line here with the Rams, and there's because the Saints suck, right? They're decimated with injuries. Michael Thomas hasn't played since about week 10, and he's still on the injury reserve list. Chris Olave, he hasn't played in several weeks. He's probably going to play today, but you have to ask yourself, how good is he going to be coming off the injury? Derek Carr, we know, I mean, what he's doing. He's been banged up all year. He can barely throw the ball accurately down the field. The play calling has been questionable. You know, there's just so many question marks around this Saints team right now that the fact that they're 7-7 is actually pretty impressive, but it's actually really not because they're in that weak ass NFC South. So for me, I think the Rams are going to win this game outright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them on the money line, and then what I'm going to do is parlay that with Kentucky on the money line, and that gets you -150 odds. So we got a little cross sport 2-team steam here, but 2 teams that should absolutely handle business today. The Rams on the money line, Kentucky on the money line. Kentucky are 14-point favorites on the road against the Louisville, in-state rivalry there, and I do think that Louisville does have a chance to cover the number. When I dove into the numbers a little bit more, would you lay the 13, 14, 14.5? I mean, you can. It's Kentucky. Louisville is terrible, but when you look at it, this is the first true road game for Kentucky on the year, and they also have a young team, so it's kind of a little unpredictable what a young team is going to do on their first true road game. And then keep in mind, like, obviously Louisville is not the program that we used to see from them, but that ain't no easy place to play. Like, that KFC Yum Center is not an easy place to play there in Louisville. So if their fans come out, if the crowd is into the game, if it's a close game, then you never know what can happen in terms of on the spread. But I do think that Kentucky is going to win this game. I mean, this Louisville team, they're not the same since that whole Rick Pitino era. I mean, they've made their way back a little bit this year in terms of actually winning some games, because last year it was terrible. They were losing to everybody, mid-majors, bottom of the barrel teams. I mean, they were like 300 in KenPom last year. So this year, it's been pretty good to see that they've actually won some games, but I don't think they're on the caliber of Kentucky. And for me, Kentucky's actually played some quality teams this year. We just saw them beat North Carolina. We've also seen them beat Miami. We've seen them beat St. Joseph. So you love to see that. They have games under their belt. They played Kansas in a close game, that they've been able to be competitive and really show how good of a team they can be. Louisville, on the other hand, they don't have a single win against a team in the top 200 on KenPom, like top 200. The only close game that they've had against a decent team was against Texas early in this season. Goes on and on. We're kind of seeing that Texas team is not as legit as we thought they were. So for me, I think Kentucky wins this game easily. Take them on the money line, or you can tease it to like -2.5, 3.5, whatever you want to do there, and then parlay that with the Rams on the money line. That gets you to -150 odds. I think that's an amazing bozo pack. A great 2-team steam right there. Let's go with those 2 teams as our second best bet. Now for our third and final best bet, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to go with a total. And you know, for me, when you've been struggling to get into a rhythm like I've been doing all month, you got to switch it up. You can't just keep hammering away and losing money, right? For me, if you've been tapped into my channel and you've been subscribed to the channel, I appreciate all the love and support and you guys sticking with me. But I've been primarily an over better. I take a lot of overs, I take a lot of favorites, and that's what I just like do. That's the type of better. I'm not a contrarian better. I'm not trying to think outside the box all the time. I'm really trying to let the data and the numbers tell me what to do, and I think I really like this angle because of what the numbers are showing me. So for me, even though I love to take overs, especially when it comes down to team totals, I'm going to take an under today, and I'm going to head over to Knoxville, Tennessee, as the Vols take on Tarleton State Texans, and they're coming to town. And for me, I'm expecting this Tennessee team to thrash them. The spread is 22.5 in favor of Tennessee, and while I do think the Vols are going to win this game by 25+ points, I have a really hard time laying these really big college basketball spreads, just because, you know, in college basketball sometimes you just don't get enough possessions depending on the style of play. If the other team's hitting shots and you're not hitting yours, you can still win this game by 15-20, but you don't win the game on the 23-point spread, right? So because of that, what I think I'm going to be able to do, because you never know, like the Tennessee offense has been a little bit inconsistent at times, but one thing that we can always bank on is the fact that this Tennessee team is going to play defense, that Rick Barnes is going to get them to lock in defensively. So because of that, I'm going to go with Tarleton State under team total 57.5 points, -120. So just Tarleton State, while isolating just their team total under 57.5. And when you really look at it, Tennessee's got one of the best defenses in the country, ranked 4th in the country in defensive efficiency, giving up about 67 points per game. But when you take out the major conference opponents that they played 4 games against lower tier opponents, mid-major schools. That average drops from 67 points per game to 56 points per game they allow against lower tier schools. And I know what you're saying, Noble, like who's Tarleton State? Like what? I don't know this team. I get it. They're led by a pair of senior forwards, Ja'Cory Smith and Keandre Gaddy, but together these forwards average about 28 points per game. But when you look at it, Tarleton State, they're really not a big team offensively, and they're not a big team in size either. Their best 2 players are the 2 forwards I just mentioned. They're both 6'6", okay? Tennessee's like small forward. Dalton is like 6'6", okay? So Tennessee has the size advantage off a rip on them. And now keep in mind that Tarleton State's not a really good rebounding team either, so that's a point of concern also in this matchup. They're ranked 294th in points per game, averaging right under about 66 points per game. And that's against playing a lot of teams that are like 300 in KenPom, 250 in KenPom. We're not even talking about teams that are like really good. They played one high major opponent this year, which was against Virginia. They lost that game by 30, and guess what? They only scored 50 points. And we know how defensive-minded Virginia is. And when I think about this Tennessee defense, I really think it's very similar to that Virginia defense. So for me, that's why I really like this team total under here, because I think that there are a lot of comparisons between both of these teams. Another thing that I found pretty interesting is Tarleton State is more of a slower-paced team, especially in the half-court offense. They rank 332 in average offensive possession length, and they take about 19 seconds off the shot clock to really be able to score the ball. But guess what? That fits right into the hand of this Tennessee defense. If you give this Tennessee defense time to set up, time to switch on the screens and on the rolls and to cover down and help, guess what? That's fitting right into the hands of what that defense likes to do. To beat this Tennessee team, you got to hit shots and you got to get out in transition. Well, guess what? This team doesn't like to play fast. So I think that's another advantage for the Tennessee defense here. Also, the last little angle that I really like with this Tennessee team here against Tarleton State is Tarleton came out this past week and announced that assistant coach Joseph Jones, he's going to serve as the head coach for the remainder of the season for most likely, as head coach Bill Gillespie is going to walk away for health reasons. I mean, he's going to still be on the staff, obviously, but right now he's battling some health issues. I hope that he's okay, you know, respect to the family and everything like that. So you're probably asking, like, why is this such a big deal? Like, if Jones is acting as the head coach, I mean, obviously that's always something that disrupts the rhythm and flow of a team as a whole. But Coach Jones has been acting as the head coach for about a month or so now, but it matters because they're still running Gillespie's system. And that matters because guess what? Gillespie used to be the head coach of Texas Tech, and then Rick Barnes used to be the head coach of Texas. So they used to face each other a lot in Big 12 showdowns. This will actually, so they're very familiar with each other's styles and teams and defenses and just kind of the whole system there. The coaching staffs are very familiar with each other. This is actually going to be the 10th time that Rick Barnes has faced Gillespie's team. They faced 9 times within the Big 12 together. Rick Barnes won 6 of the 9 games there. So for me, I think the familiarity that Rick Barnes even has with this offense and this system is going to play dividends again. And the fact that Gillespie doesn't have the players, the caliber of players that he would have had at Texas Tech, now he's trying to run the same type of system at Tarleton State with an assistant coach, and they're undersized. For me, I think everything blares out and says Tennessee's going to win this game easily. But again, I have a hard time laying the spread. You can if you want to, but let's just go under the team total, 57.5 as the third best bet. That's it for me today, my friends. Just 3 best bets for you. I'm not going to try to get cheeky and cute today. I had a few days where I tried to drop 4 plays, but today only 3 plays for you. If you want some of my other NBA angles, some more college basketball action, because we have a full slate of college basketball, and then a few other NFL plays that I might drop a little later, make sure you click the link in the bio. Join my free Discord group where I'm giving out those picks and plays for you guys. All right, my friends, 3 best bets for you on this Thursday card. Kyron Williams over 91.5 rush yards, 2 team steam, Rams money line, Kentucky money line, and then we're going to close off with Tarleton State under 57.5 team total. All right, my friends, let's get to that cheddar. Hopefully we can celebrate a winning day on the channel tomorrow. We need it. We need it like air. We need it bad. Christmas is right around the corner. The gifts need to be bought. So because of that, we got to cash on some of these bets. All right, my friends, appreciate all the love and support. I'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll be celebrating some victories and some winners. All right, dictate your fate. Let's get to that bread. Later, y'all.